My heart stopped when I opened that door. It was a Tuesday afternoon, 3 days before my daughter Julia's wedding. I had left work early because I was feeling sick, a terrible headache that wouldn't go away. I thought about resting a little before picking up the rings at the jewelry store. I parked the car in the garage, walked slowly up the stairs, and when I reached the second-floor hallway, I heard a noise coming from the guest room. It wasn't just any noise. It was my wife's voice, moaning. My hand shook on the doorknob. I didn't want to believe it, I couldn't believe it, but when I pushed that door, the world came crashing down on me. There she was, my wife of 22 years, Renata, naked, and next to her, equally naked, was my daughter's fiancé, Philip, the man who in 3 days would officially be part of our family. They turned around at the same time. Renata's eyes widened, but I didn't see any guilt in them. I saw irritation, as if I had messed up something important.
"Marcelo!" she screamed, pulling the sheet. "What are you doing here? What was I doing there? In my own home? My name is Marcelo Silva. I'm 52 years old. I'm black, hard-working, father of a beautiful daughter. I spent my entire life building a family. I worked 2 jobs for years to give Julia an education. I paid for private college, English courses, travel. Everything I didn't have, I gave to her. And now, in my house, in the room I paid for, in the bed I bought, the greatest betrayal of my life was happening. My voice trailed off. My throat was closed. My chest hurt like someone had stuck a blade between my ribs. I live here, remember? Felipe stood up with a disturbing calm. He picked up his underwear from the floor, put them on without rushing, and looked me in the eyes. Shameless, no fear, as if he were the one in charge there. "Marcelo, that's not what you're thinking," he said with a coldness that froze me. I started to shake, of anger, disgusted, of despair. "Isn't that what I'm thinking?" I exploded. "I'm seeing you naked with my wife, 3 days before you married my daughter." Renata got up, wrapped in the sheet, and took 2 steps towards me. His face was red, but not out of shame, of anger. "Lower your voice," she hissed. Julia could arrive at any moment. It was as if she had slapped me in the face. Julia, my daughter, my little one, the woman I created practically alone. How many nights had Renata traveled for work? How many weekends had she been away? I was the one who took Julia to school. I was the one who made lunch. I was the one who helped with homework. I was the one who dried her tears when some boyfriend hurt her. And now my wife, her mother, was destroying our daughter's life with her own hands. "I'll tell her," I said, and my voice was shaky, but firm. "I'll tell you everything. Now." Renata gave a short, dry, cruel laugh. A laugh I had never heard before, as if she were someone else. As if 22 years of marriage meant nothing. "Tell what, Marcelo?" She crossed her arms. "That you broke into the room without knocking? That you are having an unhealthy bout of jealousy? That you're making things up because you can't stand to see your daughter happy?" My jaw dropped. "Sick jealousy?" I shouted. "You are cheating on our daughter. You are cheating on me." Felipe finished getting dressed. Jeans, blue dress shirt, the same one I had seen on him at the family lunch on Sunday. He combed his hair with his hand, grabbed his cell phone from the bedside table and walked past me as if I were invisible. But at the door he stopped. He turned around, and he looked at me with a sideways smile that made me feel like punching the wall. "You're not going to say anything," he said slowly, chewing on each word. "Because if you tell, Julia will be the one who will suffer, and you love your daughter too much to do this to her. Isn't that right, father-in-law?" And left, like this, as if nothing had happened, as if he had all the power in the world. I stayed there, standing, looking at Renata, waiting for an explanation, a justification, a request for forgiveness, even a cry of despair I would accept. Anything that showed me that this was real, that I wasn't going crazy. But what she did was pick up her cell phone from the bedside table, look at the screen, and sigh, as if I were an inconvenience, a problem, a mosquito bothering you. "You ruined everything," she said softly, looking at her cell phone. Everything was going so well. My legs almost gave out. "So well?" I repeated, in disbelief. "You are having sex with our daughter's fiancé and you say it was going well?" She looked up from her cell phone, and for the first time in 22 years of marriage, I didn't recognize the woman in front of me. That wasn't the Renata I knew at college. She wasn't the woman who cried with me when Julia was born. It wasn't the wife who said she loved me on our honeymoon. She was a stranger. "Get out of here, Marcelo." She pointed to the door. "I need to get ready. I have an appointment in an hour." I held on to the door frame so I wouldn't fall. "Commitment? You just, I couldn't even finish the sentence. "Yes, commitment." She took the robe and put it on calmly. "Life goes on, Marcelo, and you need to learn not to stick your nose where it doesn't belong." I left that room staggering. I went down the stairs holding the handrail. I arrived in the living room and threw myself on the sofa. I looked at the ceiling, for the chandelier that I had installed with my own hands, for the walls I had painted, for the paintings I had chosen. That house was mine.
That family was mine, and everything was falling apart. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark room with my head in my hands trying to understand what had happened, trying to decide what to do. How was I going to tell this to Julia? How was I going to destroy her happiness 3 days before the wedding? She had waited so long for this day. I had planned every detail. I had dreamed of that dress, that party, that man, and I was going to take everything from her. But how was I going to let her marry a man who cheated on her with her own mother? Renata slept in the room. He locked the door. He didn't come down for dinner. He didn't come to talk to me. At 11 o'clock at night, I heard her car leaving the garage. She left, and he only returned at dawn at 4 in the morning. I heard the front door opening. I heard her footsteps coming up the stairs. He didn't even look at the room. He didn't even see I was there. Agreed, destroyed. The next morning, I took a shower, got dressed, and went down to the kitchen. I made coffee. I put bread in the toaster. I acted as if nothing had happened, as if my world hadn't ended. Renata showed up at 8:30, tidy hair, perfect makeup, gym clothes, as if it were a normal day. "Good morning," she said, without looking me in the eye. I didn't respond. She picked an apple from the fruit bowl, took a bite, and headed out the back door. I was alone in the kitchen, looking at the coffee that was cooling in the cup, thinking maybe I should have screamed, maybe I should have broken something, maybe I should have called Julia right away, but I didn't have the courage. Julia arrived at 9 in the morning, radiant with that smile I knew since she was a baby, hair in a bun, light makeup, yellow sundress, her favorite color. "Good morning, Daddy." She hugged me tight. "Today I'm going to get the dress. Do you want to come with me?" I looked at her, my daughter, my eyes filled with tears. She frowned. "Father, are you okay?" "It's pale, Julia." My voice trailed off. "I need to tell you something." Her smile faltered. "What happened, Dad? Did something happen?" "No, I mean, yes." I took a deep breath. "Sit here with me, please." She sat, holding my hand. I felt her heart racing through the pulse in her fingers. "You're scaring me, Dad. What happened? Is it Grandma? Is she okay?" "Not your grandmother." "Yeah." I closed my eyes. "Yesterday I came home early, and I saw something." "See what?" "I saw your mother." The voice trailed off. "I saw your mother with Felipe." Silence. I waited for the scream, the unbelief, the crying, the fainting, the fury, any reaction from a daughter who just found out that her fiancé was cheating on her with her own mother. But Julia just slowly closed her eyes, and he let out a long, tired, heavy sigh. "I know, Dad." The world stopped. The words didn't make sense. "You know?" She opened her eyes, and I saw tears running down my cheeks. "I've known for a long time." My heart exploded. My head swam. Everything became blurry. "How do you know?" I got up from the chair so quickly that I almost fell. "And you're going to marry him anyway?" "No, Father. It's not that." She held my face with both hands. His hands were cold, tremendous. "Sit down, please. I need to tell you something, and it's worse than you think." I sat down. My entire body was shaking. Julia pulled out a chair and sat in front of me. He took a deep breath. He looked at the kitchen door, making sure we were alone. And then he whispered so low that I almost didn't hear it. "Dad, Felipe isn't cheating on me with Mom." "Julia, I saw it with my own eyes." I protested. "They were naked, in our house." "I know you saw it." She wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "But the truth is different, much worse." "What truth?" She squeezed my hand tightly, and when he spoke, his voice was thick with fear. "Felipe and I, we were never a real couple, Dad." My brain stopped working. "What do you mean it was never a real couple? You've been together for 2 years." "No, we're not." She shook her head. "It was all set up, combined. A deal. Agreement?" "What deal?" Julia looked at the door again. Then he leaned forward and whispered, "Felipe and his mother are using this marriage as a taking everything from you, Father. The house, the company, the money, all." My mind stopped. I couldn't process the words that had come out of my daughter's mouth. "Fake marriage? Agreement? Take everything from me?" "Julia," my voice was weak. "Explain it clearly, from the beginning, please." She let go of my hand and stood up. He went to the kitchen window and looked out, as if he were afraid someone was listening. Then he came back, pulled the chair closer and started again. 6 months ago, I found out that Mom was having an affair." 6 months? I almost screamed. "Let me finish, Dad." She took a deep breath. I saw messages on her cell phone. Deleted conversations, but saved in the cloud. They were explicit messages, photos, audios, and the contact name was F. I closed my eyes. I felt a wave of nausea. At first, I thought he was just any lover. I thought about telling you, but I was scared. Fear of destroying your marriage. Afraid that you would suffer. She wiped away her tears. But then, one Friday night I came back from the gym early, and I heard Mom on the phone in the living room. She was laughing, speaking quietly but laughing, and I heard her say, "Calm down, love. 3 more months and we'll get rid of him." My blood froze. "Get rid of me?" Julia nodded, her lips trembling. "I was paralyzed, Father. I leaned against the wall in the hallway and continued listening, and that's when she said the name, Philip. My stomach turned. And you didn't tell me? Julia, you got engaged to him. I know it sounds crazy. She held my hand again, squeezing tightly. But I needed to understand what was happening. I needed to be sure. So I went to investigate. I went through her cell phone again. I looked for documents. And that's when I discovered the whole truth. What truth? Felipe doesn't love me, Dad. He never loved me. Her voice broke. He was hired by Mom. My head swam. Hired? What do you mean hired? He is a professional scammer. Julia opened her bag, took out her cell phone, moved the screen and showed me a photo. Look at this. It was a screenshot of a conversation between Renata and Felipe. Messages from 2 years ago, before he appeared in Julia's life. Renata, I need someone who is convincing, beautiful, educated, who knows how to pretend. Felipe, what's the point? Renata, marry my daughter, earn my husband's trust, and when everything is in the right place, we take everything from him. Felipe, how much are you offering? Renata, 500,000 reais, plus 30% from his company. I felt the ground disappear beneath my feet. This can't be true. I took her cell phone and read it again, and again, and again, as if the words would change. Julia, that's a lie. It's montage. It has to be. It's not, Dad, she cried. I checked everything. Bank transfers, emails, contracts. Mom paid Felipe to pretend he was in love with me, to join our family, to gain your trust. I got up from the chair and started walking around the kitchen, running his hand through his hair, trying to breathe. But why? Why would she do that? We have a good life. She has everything. No, Father, she doesn't have it. Julia dried her tears with the sleeve of her blouse. You have. The house is in your name. It's your company. The money in the joint account was earned by you. And she wants it all. But she is my wife. If we separate, she has the right to half of everything. Half isn't enough for her, Dad. Julia got up too. She wants everything. And her plan is to use her marriage to me and Felipe to get you out of the game. How? Julia took a deep breath. After the wedding, Felipe was going to start working with you at the company. Mom had already convinced you of that, remember? I remembered. 2 weeks ago, at dinner, Renata had said that it would be good to have Felipe working with me. He's smart, Marcelo, and he'll be part of the family. It would be good to have someone you trust there. I had agreed. He had even offered him a management position. Continuing, Julia swallowed. With Felipe inside the company, they would start to sabotage you, mess with contracts, create false debts, forge documents, until you were accused of fraud or incompetence. Fraud? I shouted. Yes, and when you were arrested or lost credibility, Mom would file for divorce and take everything, the house, the company, and you would be left with nothing, destroyed. I sat down again. My head hurt. My heart was beating so hard that I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And you discovered all this on your own? Yes, and when I found out, I decided to pretend I didn't know anything. I pretended I still loved Felipe. I pretended I was going to marry him, because I needed time to think, to plan, to protect you. I looked at my daughter, my little Julia, the girl I held in my arms when she had nightmares, the girl I taught to ride a bike, the girl who called me a superhero, and she was protecting me. Julia, you should have told me before. I know, Dad. I know. She cried again, but I was afraid you'd confront Mom and ruin everything. I needed solid proof. I needed to be sure. And do you have it? Solid evidence? She nodded. I have. I kept everything. Conversation prints, transfer receipts, emails, audios. Audios? I recorded conversations between Mom and Felipe. They meet every week in an apartment in the center. I followed them. I placed a hidden voice recorder in her car. My daughter had become a spy. And what did you hear? Plans, Dad. Detailed plans. She picked up her cell phone again, played an audio file, and pressed play. Renata's voice filled the kitchen. Renata, there are 3 days left until the wedding. After that, we follow the plan. Felipe, what if he gets suspicious? Renata, he won't be suspicious. Marcelo is naive. He believes in everyone. It's always been like that. Felipe, what about Julia? Won't she be surprised when we file for divorce soon after? Renata, Julia is his daughter. She will stay by her father's side. And when he falls, I will blame him. I will say that he betrayed me, that he was violent. I will invent whatever is necessary. My vision became blurry. Turn it off, I asked. Julia hung up. We were silent. The only sound was the ticking of the clock on the wall. After a while, I was able to speak again. Are you going to cancel the wedding? No. How not? If I cancel now, they'll know I found out everything, and they will advance the blow in another way. She looked at me with determination. We need to let them think everything is okay, and on the wedding day in front of everyone, we expose the truth. Julia, this is dangerous. I know, but it's the only way to make sure everyone knows what they did. The whole family will be there. Your friends, the company's partners, lawyers,
If we reveal everything in front of witnesses, they won't be able to carry out the coup. I took a deep breath. She was right, but there was a problem. What if they find out first? What if Renata realizes that you know? She won't understand. I'm a good actress, Dad. She smiled for the first time, but it was a sad smile. I learned from the best. I felt a pang in my chest. Julia was right. Renata had pretended to love me for 22 years. I had pretended to be a mother. It had pretended to be family, and now my daughter needed to pretend too to protect us. Okay, I said. We follow the plan, but from now on, I will also investigate. I'll gather more evidence, and if something goes wrong, we'll stop everything. You hear? Deal. She hugged me tight. I love you, Dad. I love you too, daughter. We stayed like that for a few seconds, and then she walked away, picked up her bag, and headed toward the door. I'll get the dress. I need to keep up appearances. Julia, she stopped and looked back. Thanks, I said, for protecting me, for being brave. She smiled again, that sad smile, and left. I was alone in the kitchen. I looked at the table, for cold coffee, for bread that I hadn't touched, and I thought about everything Julia had told me. 22 years of marriage, 22 years with a woman I thought I loved, that I thought you loved me. All lies. I got up and went to the office. I turned on the computer. I opened the company documents folder. I started reviewing contracts, financial movements, anything that could be wrong. That's when I saw it. A document signed by me 3 months ago. A power of attorney giving Renata powers to manage part of the company in the event of my absence or incapacity. I didn't remember signing that. I enlarged the signature on the screen. It felt like mine, but there was something strange. The final line was different, shorter. I took an old document of mine, compared the signatures. It wasn't identical. My signature had been forged, and if Renata already had a false power of attorney, it meant that she could start moving things without me knowing. I picked up the phone to call my lawyer, but before I could dial, the office door opened. It was Renata. She entered without knocking, closed the door behind her, and looked at me with that cold look I didn't know. So, she said, crossing her arms, Julia already told you everything, right? My blood froze, my entire body froze. Renata was there, standing in the doorway of my office, staring at me with those cold eyes. How did she know? How did she find out that Julia had told me? I don't know what you're talking about, I managed to say, but my voice was weak. She took a step inside and closed the door with her foot, without taking her eyes off me. Don't pretend, Marcelo. You are a terrible liar. She approached the table, placed her hands on the glass top, and leaned forward. Julia told you, didn't she? About me and Felipe. My brain worked at high speed. If I admitted it, it would put Julia in danger. If I denied it, Renata would know I was lying. Julia didn't tell me anything, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. But I saw you two, with my own eyes, so there's no need for her to tell me anything. Renata laughed, a short, mocking laugh. Oh yeah? And what exactly do you think you saw? I saw you cheating on our daughter. I got up from the chair. I saw you destroying our family. Family? She laughed again, louder this time. What family, Marcelo? Do you really think we are a family? The way she said it, with contempt, with disgust, made me feel like I'd been punched in the stomach. We have been married for 22 years, Renata. Married. She walked to the bookshelf, ran her finger along the spines of the books. Married is just a piece of paper, Marcelo. It doesn't mean anything. It means everything to me. She turned and looked at me with pity, as if I were a naive child. You've always been like this. Too romantic, too idealistic, too stupid. The word hurt more than I expected. Why? I asked, and my voice cracked. Why did you do that? I gave you everything. Home, comfort, respect, love. Love? She let out a laugh. Marcelo, I never loved you. The silence that followed was deafening. Never? Never. She took a picture frame from the shelf, a photo of us on our wedding day. He looked at the photo and threw it back into place without care. I married you because I needed stability. You were right. Worker, reliable, but love? No, that never existed. I felt my legs weaken. I held onto the chair so I wouldn't fall. And Julia? Do you even love our daughter? Renata was silent for a few seconds, and when he answered, his voice was lower but still cold. Julia was a mistake. I didn't want to have children, but you insisted so much. A mistake? Anger exploded inside me. Is our daughter a mistake for you? Lower your voice. She pointed her finger at me. Don't make a fuss if you know you won't get the better of him. Won't I get the upper hand? Renata, you're having sex with our daughter's fiancé. Do you think any judge will side with you when they find out about this? She smiled, a slow, calculated, frightening smile. No judge will know, Marcelo. I'll tell you, I will expose everything. Are you going? She crossed her arms. And who will believe you? A 52-year-old man, desperate, inventing an absurd story to avoid losing half of his assets in the divorce? I have proof. What evidence? She took a step toward me.
You saw me and Felipe in bed. So what? I can say it was a moment of weakness, that you neglected me for years, that I was fragile. Any lawyer can turn this in my favor. My heart sank. She was right. My word against hers. And besides, Renata picked up the bag that she had left on the chair next to the door. He took out a folder from inside and threw it on the table. You have bigger problems to worry about. I looked at the folder. I opened it. They were company documents, contracts, financial movements, and they all had my signature, but I didn't remember signing that. What is that? I asked, leafing through the pages. This, my dear, is proof that you embezzled 800,000 Rs from the company in the last 6 months. My head swam. I didn't deviate anything. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't do. She sat in the chair in front of me, crossed her legs, and looked at me with that disturbing calm. What matters is what is written there. Transfers to ghost accounts, false invoices, fraudulent contracts, all with your signature. My signature was forged. Taste it. She tilted her head. But while you try to prove it, the IRS will come down on you. Your partners will sue you, and you will lose everything. The company, the house, your reputation. I felt the world collapse. You faked all this? I am not. She smiled. Felipe forged it. He's very good at what he does. He worked in accounting for years. He knows how to forge documents better than anyone. I leaned against the wall, feeling my legs give out. Why are you telling me this? Why don't you hide it until the end? Renata got up, took the folder back, and put it in her bag. Because I want you to know that you lost. I want you to understand that there is no way out, and I want you to sign the divorce papers without making a fuss. Never. Then you're going to jail. She shrugged. Your choice. And left the office. I stood there, alone, shaking. I sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, and put my hands over my face. I couldn't think. I couldn't breathe properly. Everything was falling apart. But then I remembered Julia's words. We need to let them think everything is okay. I got up. I wiped my face. I took a deep breath. If Renata and Felipe thought they had won, it was because they hadn't met my daughter yet, and they didn't know how much I was willing to fight. I turned the computer back on. I entered the company system. I started combing through every transaction from the last 6 months, every note, every contract. It took me 3 hours, but I found it. All fraudulent transactions had been made from Renata's computer. She had used a false power of attorney to access the system, and he had left traces. I copied everything onto a pen drive, print the receipts. I kept it in a sealed folder. Then I called my lawyer, Dr. Roberto, a 60-year-old man, black like me, who had helped me open the company 15 years ago. Marcelo, all good? He answered on the second ring. Roberto, I need to see you. Today. It's urgent. Did something happen? Everything happened. I took a deep breath. And I need your help. We arranged to meet at 6 in the afternoon at a cafe in the center. I left the house without talking to Renata. She was locked in her room, probably talking to Felipe. I arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early. I sat at a table in the back. I ordered a coffee that I couldn't drink. Dr. Roberto arrived at 6 o'clock sharp, tall, with glasses, with gray hair, and a presence that always gave me confidence. Marcelo. He greeted me with a firm handshake and sat across from me. You look terrible. What happened? I told everything. From the moment I caught Renata and Felipe in bed until the conversation in the office. I showed the documents, the evidence that Julia had gathered, fraudulent transactions. Dr. Roberto heard everything in silence. When I finished, he took off his glasses, cleaned the lenses with a tissue, and sighed deeply. Marcelo, this is serious. Very serious. I know. But you have solid proof. He leafed through the documents I had brought. This is enough to nullify any accusation against you, and to open a criminal case against his wife and Felipe. Criminal prosecution? Yes. Forgery of documents, fraud, attempted misappropriation. That gets you arrested. I felt relief mixed with sadness. Renata was going to jail, my daughter's mother. And the wedding? I asked. Julia wants to expose everything on her wedding day, in front of everyone. Dr. Roberto frowned. This is risky. If they realize that you know, they might run away. Or worse, they can accelerate the blow. So what do you suggest? Leave it to me. He kept the documents in his briefcase. I'll prepare everything. I'm going to talk to a delegate friend of mine. And on the wedding day, the police will be there, discreet, waiting for the right moment. And me? What do I do until then? You pretend you don't know anything. Act normal. Don't confront anyone. And trust me. I shook his hand. Thank you, Roberto. How long have we known each other, Marcelo? 15 years? He smiled. I would never let you fall. You can be sure of that. I returned home calmer. But when I walked in the front door, I heard voices in the room. Renata and Felipe were there, sitting on the sofa, laughing. When they saw me, they stopped. Marcelo. Felipe stood up and extended his hand. All good? I was worried about you. Renata said you weren't feeling well. I shook his hand. strong, looking into the eyes. I am doing great, great. He smiled. That fake smile. After all, there are only 2 days left until the big day. Yeah, only 2 days left. I forced a smile back. Renata got up too. I'm going to make dinner. She passed me without looking at me. Felipe will stay to eat with us. Sure, I said. Dinner was one of the most difficult moments of my life. Sitting at the table, eating, talking, pretending everything was fine, while Renata and Felipe exchanged glances, while my daughter, who arrived in the middle of dinner, pretended to smile at her fiancé. It was torturous, but I held on. By Julia, for the truth, for justice. After dinner, Felipe left. Julia went up to the room. Renata went to hers. I was alone in the room. I picked up my cell phone and sent a message to Dr. Roberto. Is everything ready? He responded almost immediately. Everything. The police will be there. Trust the process. I sighed in relief, but then I heard a noise upstairs, as if something had fallen. I ran up. The noise had come from Julia's room. I knocked on the door. Julia? It is good too? Silence. Julia. The door opened, but it wasn't Julia. It was Renata, with Julia's cell phone in her hand. Looking for this? She showed the screen. They were the evidence that Julia had kept. The conversations, the audios, all. My blood ran cold. Where is my daughter? Renata smiled. In a safe place. And if you want to see her again, you'll do exactly as I say. My world stopped. Where is my daughter? I shouted, grabbing Renata by the arm. She pulled free with a sudden jerk and looked at me coldly. I already told you. In a safe place. And if you want to see her again, you'll do exactly as I say. You kidnapped our daughter? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you crazy? Don't make a fuss. She put away her cell phone, of Julia in his pocket. And I'm not crazy. I'm being practical. Julia discovered things she shouldn't have, and you too. So now you two will collaborate. Collaborate with what? Tomorrow morning you will go to the bank and transfer the company into my name. Then he will sign the deed for the house, also in my name. And then it will disappear from our lives. Never. I advanced on her, but I held back. My hand shook with anger. Then you will never see your daughter again. She shrugged, as if talking about the weather. Your choice. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't hurt Julia. Renata laughed. That cold, soulless laugh. Marcelo, you still don't understand? I do whatever it takes. I always did. And now you have until tomorrow at 10 in the morning to decide. Transfer everything to me or you'll never see your little girl again. And left the room. I stood there, shaking. My brain couldn't process it. Julia had been kidnapped by her own mother. I took my cell phone with shaking hands and called Dr. Roberto. Marcelo? He answered the second call. Roberto, Renata kidnapped my daughter. I shouted into the phone. What? Calm down, breathe, tell me everything. I counted, every detail. He listened in silence. It's okay, listen carefully. His voice was firm, controlled. You won't do anything she asked. Did you understand? Nothing. I'm going to call my friend, Deputy Souza now. The police will locate your daughter. What if they don't find it in time? They'll find it. Trust me. He took a deep breath. Now give me Julia's cell phone number. The police can track it. I passed the number. I hung up. I ran down the stairs. Renata was in the living room, sitting on the sofa, looking at her cell phone. Where is she? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. I already told you. In a safe place. Renata, for God's sake. My voice trailed off. She is our daughter. You can't do that to her. I can. And I did. She didn't even look up from her cell phone. She never hurt you. She always loved you. And I always found her irritating. Renata finally looked at me. Always crying. Always glued to you. Always demanding my attention. I never wanted to be a mother, Marcelo. I already told you that. I felt like screaming, from crying, to break everything. But I didn't do anything. I just went up to my room, locked the door, and waited. Half an hour later, my cell phone rang. It was Dr. Roberto. We found it. My heart raced. Where? In a flat in the center. Felipe rented under a false name, but we were able to track Julia's cell phone. The police are on the way. I'm going too. No, you stay there. If Renata notices that you're gone, she can tell Felipe and they can hurt Julia. Let the police work. Every second of waiting was torture. I sat on the bed looking at my cell phone, praying. 40 minutes later, Dr. Roberto called again. She is fine. The police arrived. Felipe tried to escape but was arrested. Julia is scared but she wasn't hurt. I started to cry, of relief, of gratitude. Thank you, Roberto. Thanks. Now listen, Julia is giving a statement, and the police will arrest Renata too, but you need to get out of there. Now. Why? Because when Renata finds out that Felipe was arrested, she might do something crazy. Get out of there. Go to a hotel. I'll meet you there. I grabbed a suitcase, threw some clothes inside, and went downstairs in silence. Renata was still in the room, but now she was talking on the phone, probably with Felipe. I left through the back door. I got in the car, and I drove to a hotel that Dr. Roberto had recommended. When I arrived an hour later, Julia was already there, in the lobby, with 2 police officers beside her. "Father!" She ran and threw herself into my arms. I hugged my daughter with all the strength I had. I cried. She cried. We stayed like that for what seemed like an eternity. "I thought I was going to lose you," I whispered. "Me too, Dad. Me too." Deputy Souza, a tall black man in his 50s with a gray mustache, approached. "Mr. Marcelo, I'm Delegate Souza. We need to talk." We sat in a private room at the hotel. Julia told everything, how she had been taken, how Felipe had knocked on her room door saying that I had felt ill and was in the hospital, how she had run away with him and only realized the trap when they arrived at the flat and he locked the door. "He didn't hurt me physically," she said, wiping away her tears, "but he threatened me. He said if I tried to run away, you would die. That mom was going to send someone to kill you." I held her hand. "It's over, daughter," he finished. Delegate Souza opened a folder. "Felipe is under arrest. False imprisonment, forgery of documents, attempted extortion. He'll be in jail for a long time. And Renata, has she already been arrested?" I asked. "Not yet, but we have a warrant for his arrest. As soon as she appears, she will be detained." "And the wedding?" Julia asked. Everyone looked at her. "What wedding?" The deputy frowned. "It was tomorrow," she explained. "My fake marriage with Felipe. All guests have already confirmed their presence. Family, friends, my father's partners. More than 200 people." I looked at her. "Julia, there will be no wedding. Felipe is arrested." "I know." She wiped her tears and looked at me with determination. "But there will be an event, and that's where we'll expose everything, in front of everyone." Dr. Roberto, who was sitting next to him, leaned forward. "Julia, this is risky." "It is not," she interrupted. "Mom doesn't know that Felipe was arrested yet. His cell phone was seized. She will think everything is normal. It will appear at the wedding, and it will be there in front of our entire family, friends, partners, that we will show who she really is." Deputy Souza scratched his chin. "The idea is good. If she appears at the scene, we will arrest her there, in front of everyone. It will be impossible for her to deny or manipulate the situation." I looked at my daughter, my little warrior. "Are you sure about this?" "I have." She shook my hand. "She destroyed our family, Father. It almost destroyed you. He tried to kidnap me. It deserves to be exposed." The next morning, the day of the wedding, I woke up early. Julia slept in the room next to mine at the hotel. Dr. Roberto had slept in another room. The police kept 2 guards at the door. I had coffee with Julia. She was calmer, but I saw the fear in her eyes. "Everything will be fine," I said. "I know." She smiled weakly. "But I'm scared to see her, to hear her voice. I will be by your side, all the time." At 2 in the afternoon, we arrived at the church. A beautiful, large church, which Julia had chosen months ago when she still thought she was going to have a real wedding. Guests began to arrive. Uncles, cousins, childhood friends, partners of my company. Everyone dressed up, excited, with no idea what was about to happen. Julia was in one of the back rooms of the church, dressed in her wedding dress. Beautiful, white, delicate. But she wasn't going to get married. I was going to do justice. Dr. Roberto entered the room. "Marcelo, Julia, it's time." "Has Renata arrived?" I asked. It arrived. She's sitting in the first row, thinking she's the mother of the bride. Julia took a deep breath. "Then let's get this over with." We went down to the church hall. The guests were all already seated. The music started playing, but it wasn't the wedding march. It was silence. I entered the church with Julia on my arm. We walked down the central corridor. Everyone looked confused. "Where's the groom? Why did the music stop?" We arrived in front of the altar. The priest was there, but also confused. Julia let go of my arm, turned to the microphone that had been placed there, and began to speak. "Good morning, everybody. I know you guys came here for a wedding, but there won't be a wedding today." Murmurs, whispers, confusion. "I brought you here because I need to tell you a truth about betrayal, lie, and attempt to destroy my family." Renata got up from her chair. "Julia, what are you doing? Where's Felipe?" "Felipe is in prison, Mom." Julia looked at her firmly. "Arrested for false imprisonment, forgery of documents, and attempted extortion." The church erupted in whispers. Renata turned pale. "What are you talking about?" "I'm speaking the truth." Julia took her cell phone and connected it to a screen that was next to the altar. "Let me show everyone who you really are." And the conversations appeared on the screen. The messages between Renata and Felipe, the plans, money transfers, the fake documents, and then the audio played. Renata's voice filled the church. "Calm down, love. 3 more months and we'll get rid of him. Marcelo is naive. He believes in everyone. It's always been like that." Renata tried to run into the hallway, but 2 plainclothes police officers got up and blocked the way. "That's a lie," she shouted. "This has been edited, mounted." "It wasn't, Mother." Julia got down from the altar and walked towards her. "And everyone here knows because now they have seen it. They heard. and they know what kind of person you are. Deputy Souza entered through the side door in uniform. Renata Silva, you are under arrest for conspiracy, forgery of documents, false imprisonment, attempted extortion, and embezzlement. Renata looked around. All eyes were on her, shocked looks, disgusted, of disappointment. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. The police handcuffed her, and when they started to take her away, she looked at me, for the last time. And in that look, I saw no remorse. I saw hate. But then she looked at Julia, and whispered, "You're going to regret this. You will all regret it." And she was taken. The church was in absolute silence. Julia returned to the altar. He took the microphone, and with tears flowing, he said, "I'm sorry I brought you here under false pretenses, but I needed everyone to know the truth. My father is an honest man, worker, and he almost lost everything because of a woman who never loved it. Thank you for being here, and thank you for witnessing justice being done." The guests began to applaud, slowly at first, then stronger, until the entire church was on its feet, applauding. I walked up to the altar and hugged my daughter. "You're amazing," I whispered. "I learned from the best, Dad." But when we were leaving the church, Dr. Roberto ran up to us. "Marcelo, Julia, there's a problem." What it was? Felipe. He escaped from jail. My blood ran cold. "How did you run away?" There was confusion at the police station, a fight between prisoners, and he took the opportunity to escape. "The police are looking, but what?" Dr. Roberto looked at me with concern. "Before he ran away, he left a message. He said you will pay, and it won't end until he gets back what's his." The world stopped again. Felipe had fled, and it was coming after us. "We need to get out of here," Dr. Roberto said, looking around the church. "Now." But before we could move, my cell phone rang. Unknown number. Answered. "Hello? Hi, father-in-law." Felipe's voice was calm, cold, terrifying. "Did you like the little show at the church?" My blood ran cold. "Where are you?" "Close, very close." He laughed. "And you know what I noticed? That you took everything from me. My money, my freedom, my life. So now I'm going to take away what you love most. If you lay a finger on my daughter, relax. I won't pull over." His voice became even more sinister. "I'll do worse. I will destroy everything you built, your company, your reputation. And when you have nothing left, when you are at rock bottom, then I will appear, to see you beg." And hung up. I looked at Julia. She was pale. "He's bluffing," Dr. Roberto said, but he didn't seem convinced. Deputy Souza approached. "We're going to put police protection on you. 24 hours, and we will intensify the search for Felipe. For the next 3 days, we lived under police escort. Julia and I stayed at the hotel. We didn't go out. We didn't receive visitors. The police searched the city for Felipe, but he was gone. It was on the 4th day that I received a call from the bank. "Mr. Marcelo, this is the manager. I have some bad news. There was suspicious activity in the company's account. Someone tried to transfer 300,000 reais to an account abroad." My heart raced. "Did you try? It achieved?" "No, we blocked it in time, but whoever made the attempt had access to their codes, your passwords. Philip. He had managed to hack the system. I immediately called Dr. Roberto and the company's IT team. We change all passwords. We block access. We reinforce digital security. But the next day, it was worse. I received an anonymous email with photos of me, edited, grotesque montages putting me in compromising situations. Fake, liars, but convincing. And the message said, "Within 24 hours, these photos will go to all your clients, all your partners, all the press. Unless you deposit 1 million reais into the account that I will give you, you have until tomorrow at noon." Felipe was trying to extort me again. I showed the email to Delegate Souza. "This is a crime, extortion, defamation." He analyzed the images. "And these montages are well done. If they leak, even if they are fake, they will tarnish your image. So what do I do? We use this to catch him." The deputy smiled. "Reply to the email. Say you will pay. Set up a meeting place." And we set up an ambush. That's exactly what we did. I responded to the email saying I would pay. I scheduled the meeting for midnight in an empty parking lot near the port, an isolated place, perfect for a trap. The police took position hours before. Uncharacterized cars, snipers in the surrounding buildings, Delegate Souza commanding everything via radio. I was in a car, with Dr. Roberto beside me waiting. Julia had begged me to go along, but I didn't let her. She stayed at the hotel, protected by 2 police officers. At 11:50 p.m., a black car entered the parking lot, slowly, cautious. It was Felipe. He parked about 50 meters away, got out of the car, he looked around, and walked to where I was. "Get out of the car, Marcelo," he shouted, "and bring the money." I took a deep breath. I picked up the briefcase the police had prepared, full of cut-up papers, not money, and I left. I walked to the middle of the parking lot. Felipe was 10 meters away from me. "Where's the money?" he asked. "Here." I showed the suitcase. "But first tell me something. Why? Why did you do all this?" He laughed. "For money, man. For what else? You destroyed an entire family. It almost destroyed my daughter. For money? And wouldn't you do the same?" He took a step towards me. "You've worked your whole life, Marcelo. And for what? To have a house? A car? A company? I wanted all of this without having to sweat. And I almost made it. If it weren't for your stuck-up little daughter, I would have achieved. You won't achieve anything. Never." "Oh no?" He smiled. "So why are you here, handing me 1 million? Because I want to see you fall." At that moment, the parking lot lights all came on at the same time, and from all sides police cars appeared surrounding Felipe. He looked around, noticing the trap. He looked at me with pure hatred. "It's over, Felipe." I took a step back. "You lost." He tried to run but was knocked down by 3 police officers, handcuffed, thrown on the floor. As he was taken away, he shouted, "This doesn't end here! You will pay me, Marcelo! You will pay me!" But I didn't respond. I just watched him be placed in the squad car, and for the first time in weeks I breathed a sigh of relief. 2 weeks later, Renata and Felipe were convicted. Renata received 8 years in prison for conspiracy, forgery of documents, and false imprisonment. Felipe got 12 years. In addition to the crimes with Renata, it was discovered that he had scammed other families before. Other victims appeared, other stories of destroyed lives. Justice had been done. Julia and I returned home. The house we almost lost. We cleaned everything. We painted the walls. We changed the furniture. We wanted to erase any trace of Renata from there. The company continued. The partners supported me. The customers remained. And little by little I rebuilt my reputation. Julia went back to work. He smiled again. But I knew the scars were still there. She had nightmares. I woke up in the middle of the night crying, and I was always there holding her hand, telling her everything was okay. 6 months later, on a Saturday afternoon, we were sitting on the porch at home, drinking coffee, looking at the garden. "Father," Julia said, breaking the silence, "do you still think about her?" I sighed. "Every day." "And what do you feel?" I thought for a moment. "Sadness, not for her, but for the time I wasted, for the years I believed a lie." I looked at my daughter. "But I also feel gratitude." "Gratitude? Why?" "Because this pain showed me who really matters." I held her hand. You were always by my side. You protected me, saved me, and I realized that family is not blood. It is not signed paper. Family is what stays when everything falls apart." Julia started to cry. "I will always stay, Dad." "I know, and me too." We stood there, in silence, just holding each other's hands. Today, 3 years after all this, I look back and see how much I have grown. I learned that confidence is not naivety, that loving is not being blind, that forgiving does not mean forgetting. The company is bigger than ever. Julia became a partner. We work together every day, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world to be able to build something alongside my daughter. Renata tried to get in touch a few times from prison. Letters, connections, always asking for forgiveness, always saying he regretted it. I never responded, because forgiveness is not going back. Forgiveness is moving forward without carrying the weight of hate. Felipe also tried, but with him it was different. He never asked for forgiveness, just threatened. He just cursed. And then it stopped. He probably realized he no longer had power over us. Julia is dating again, a good, honest boy who works as a teacher. She brings him to dinner every week, and I see something in his eyes that I never saw in Felipe's. True love. What about me? I'm at peace. Alone, but at peace. I learned to enjoy my own company. I learned that loneliness is not abandonment, it's freedom. Sometimes on Friday nights I sit on the porch with a coffee and look at the sky, and I thank you. I'm grateful that I survived, for having fought, for winning, because in the end, it wasn't betrayal that defined me, it was resistance. If you are going through something similar, if someone you love is betraying you, destroying you, humiliating you, I want you to know one thing. You are stronger than you imagine. The pain you feel today will pass. The humiliation you suffer today will turn into strength tomorrow. Don't give up. Don't lower your head. Don't accept being treated as less than you are. You deserve respect. You deserve love. You deserve truth. And if the people around you can't give you that, then they don't deserve you. Fight. Resist. Survive. Because in the end, justice always comes. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it hurts. But it always arrives. And when it arrives, you will be standing, strong, worthy, winner, because you are not the pain you suffered. You are the courage you had to move forward. My name is Marcelo Silva. I'm 52 years old. I'm black. I'm a father. I'm a businessman. And I'm a survivor. And you can be too.